What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So today I did want to jump on one of my favorite childhood games ever back in the day, dude. And you know what? I feel like a lot of people have probably also played this game at least one time or another, MX Unleashed. This game, if you are wondering, did end up coming out. I think it was 2001, so yeah, dude, it's kind of up there when it does come to its age, and I feel like when you do play it, you could probably notice that a little bit. I mean, come on, bruh. And the crazy part to me, though, is even to this day, guys, we can all agree, people are still comparing MX Unleashed to new dirt bike and pretty much ATV games. Obviously, MX Unleashed was fully focused on dirt bikes, and we all do know we had MX versus ATV and stuff like that. But either way, though, people still want these type of physics on the newer games, which is insane to think about. Like, this game is obviously not new, and people still want these type of physics, you know, the whipping and the way the bikes feel, even in the new dirt bike games, which is kind of insane. But for me, though, jumping back on this game, man, it really did feel special. Whether it was me doing these supercross tracks, which I always loved messing them up for a few laps, and then finally getting the entire rhythm down and just flying through the whole track perfectly, hitting each jump, every single area perfectly, flying around the berms. And one thing I was messing up a bit with was I wasn't hitting the berms. As I do understand with the ATVs and MX versus ATV, you could just fly around the turn. You don't really need the berm in ways, and you kind of don't need it with the dirt bikes either if you fly out of it. But in this, though, I would say the berm is definitely going to help you unless you end up using the clutch or something like that. And I would say these supercross tracks in this game are going to be very fun, at least for the time when this game came out. And on the other side of that, you will also have the lovely national tracks, man. These had some wild jumps in them that pretty much sent you absolutely flying, which really did make it pretty insane. Now, we all do know that I don't really know if people are going to be a fan of Supercross or Nationals. I would say it's kind of mixed, as we all do know every single game that has dirt bikes or ATVs kind of does tend to have both of them, so maybe it's kind of like a mixed thing. Although I do admit, flying down some of these big national tracks, man, doing like 80 miles an hour, flying over a really big jump or something like that, then jumping into a berm and flying down a hill to then hit another big gap, it really does hit. And people probably like, wait, Block, you play dirt bike games? And yes, I have always played all these games back in the day. MX Unleashed for me, though, is easily one of my favorite games ever back then. I probably played this a lot alongside Midnight Club. I even used to play a lot of old hunting games and stuff like that as well back then, so I kind of did mix it up. And I would say a lot of people also used to play MX. I'm not going to lie, guys. I pretty much came home from school, got my work done, you know, homework and all that stuff, and I pretty much jumped on this game afterwards, and I would find myself playing it for hours. I also love the fact that they did end up having KTM and Yamaha and stuff in there, which was very cool, and also Suzuki as well. So you had like the 125s, the 250s, you had the 450s and stuff like that. You also had the 500cc, which is like a brand dirt bike in the game, which I also believe the new MX vs ATV Legends also has a 500cc bike. So it's kind of like a mix there of how each game, or you know, they had bigger bikes like that. Now, besides the Supercross and National thing, though, the one thing I gotta admit right now, which, yes, everybody does race. It's obviously a motocross type of game, am I right? Like, you are going to race on those and do the bigger tracks, the Supercross ones, and mess around and explore the tracks and get better at them, get better at jumping. But one thing I really loved about MX Unleashed, bro, was the freestyle areas in this game. And you know what the funny part is? I can't even count how much time I spent in these freestyle areas in MX Unleashed. In fact, I probably spend more time in these racing around, messing around, than I probably was even doing the national and bigger tracks or supercross tracks, because I was having too much fun in these. Not only that, though, everyone probably knows at this point that this game was not only dirt bikes. This game actually had a monster truck, a trophy truck, a doom buggy, a helicopter, and a plane, bro, which might sound insane, but here's the funny part. This game came out 20 years plus ago, guys, and you know what's hilarious to me? The monster truck feels better than what Motorfest has, and so does the airplane in the game. And also the helicopter, for some odd reason, does indeed feel better. Now, the one cool thing about this, though, is in order to unlock these vehicles in this game, you pretty much had to race them in that said freestyle area that you were in, where that vehicle was located. So you guys will see in the background here, I am racing the monster truck. You pretty much have to beat them on the course. It's going to be a 2-lap event. Yes, you can easily mess up and stuff because I kind of was. And you can also kind of beat them a bit easier. I did notice one thing that was a bit cheesy, at least it happened to me. was the other vehicle pretty much that I was racing, the monster truck, pretty much ran into the semi-truck that was driving around, and it got stuck. That also happened with the buggy as well, which, to be honest, I'm kind of glad that happened, because if it didn't, I most likely probably would have failed, as I did end up crashing a good amount of times when I was doing this, because I was like, oh yeah, you can't directly land on an incline jump from getting a bunch of air from another jump, bro. That ain't gonna work. You're pretty much gonna crash yourself again, and we all do know how that isn't gonna get you anywhere. But either way, though, racing these, man, I have so many memories from it. I do also remember going in and trying to beat these and just randomly racing them with different bikes and trying to beat them. It was so dang entertaining. Now, the best part is, though, once you beat it, you can then drive that vehicle around. And before you guys say it, you can also drive any of the vehicles you unlock in this on any of the freestyle maps, so they're not locked to it. I'm not sure if people were wondering about that, but I kind of got that feeling when I did start playing this, though. I was like, oh wait, it's locked, but it isn't, and you could jump around and drive around in these vehicles. Dude, the monster truck is so dang fun. It feels very fast, too. Like, it does around 100 plus miles an hour. It is absolutely flying. The thing glides through the air when you jump. It can drift around and stuff like that. And yes, this is on the PlayStation 2 before you guys say it. So I feel like the monster truck really was a really cool vehicle. And with that being said, which vehicle was your favorite in MX Unleashed? I gotta admit, one of the vehicles I was having a tremendous amount of issues with back in the day trying to beat it. I don't know if I was the only one, but for me, though, it really was the helicopter. Luckily, this time around, though, I did beat it, I think, 4th try or something, with how the helicopter was flying around and stuff like that. I was having issues getting through the objectives and trying to learn the course again, but after I did end up beating it, dude, it wasn't too bad. And I really do feel like the race in this game were so unique, like the way the checkpoints were, they took you through different areas. You can then jump and have like the cinematic thing of you jumping through the checkpoint with like the helicopter, or you seeing it really close by to yourself when you're jumping and stuff. Like, it was pretty dope. And I do feel like a lot of people are looking for those types of moments in these games, as it really does add on to it. Because, the trailer of the game itself shows that, and then you're like, oh yeah, I can also kind of recreate that and race against these vehicles. But then I can also drive it. So with the helicopter, I was kind of laughing, because the helicopter in this game, bro, I don't know if I'm losing my mind, but this thing handles way better than what Motorfest helicopters are. And I'm saying that because everyone was praising the game getting helicopters. The helicopter handling in this game really was impressive, with it being 2001. Like, you could fly around, do sharp corners, like accelerate, decelerate, and all that stuff, have a great time with it. The helicopter did not feel wonky, and the hilarious part is, this game came out in 2001, man, and yet newer games can't seem to get a helicopter's handling right. Does that make any sense to anybody else? The other vehicle is indeed a Doom Buggy as well, guys. I love driving that thing around. Probably was one of my favorites as well, most likely besides something like the Trophy Truck. I do kind of feel like in ways the Trophy Truck was probably like my overall probably favorite behind the Monster Truck, as I always found myself driving both of those more than anything else. And that was probably down to the fact of how fast the Buggy was, how light they were, how easy they were to jump and stuff like that, than jumping into the Trophy Truck also made them so dang quick. It really was funny, because I remember back in the day being in school, getting pretty much excited when I was coming home to be able to jump on MX Unleashed, just freestyle with my brother and stuff on here, and just ride around, mess around, jump, and do all kinds of crazy things, man. And I'm gonna admit, the memories really do pour in, like jumping over and trying to get into the biplane, or racing that thing, which that thing was also difficult. Flying around in the biplane and doing tricks in that, and then jumping into like the Doom Buggy or something, and then going, oh, let me go drive the monster truck, messing around on every single freestyle track, really does hit you so dang much. It's so dang entertaining, man. Like, the vehicles in this game was something I did not expect, and I feel like a lot of other games could probably benefit, like, if they had oddball things in there like that, you know what I mean? I think people really would like that so dang much, seeing something like an airplane in a dirt bike game, or something that doesn't really make sense, but it's in there, and yet they still nailed the handling model on them. Like, you can mess around with all of them, and you probably wouldn't get that annoyed, or any bit annoyed, unless you were trying to race them, which honestly could be pretty dang difficult. Oh, and the other thing I did laugh at in this game was the fact that when you would pretty much race around in the map, there was obviously going to be an endpoint to every single map, and once you do end up getting to that, it would pretty much like cannon you back into it, which was really hilarious. And I do know, I also think the newer games did something similar to it, and I also think MX vs ATV did it, also ATV Off-Road Fury. But that was so dang funny here in MX Unleashed because obviously this game came out before those. So I kind of feel like it did it first in a way, but also newer games are like, yo, I remember that. You know what I'm saying? But honestly, guys, playing MX Unleashed in 2025 on the original PS2, man, I'm gonna be real, it hit in every single area. This game still lives up. It's still very fun to play. I really kind of wish other games would take, and what I mean by this is like the newer MX games, would probably try to take something from MX Unleashed in a way, which I understand they're trying to. I do know a lot of people want them to go back to like the whip physics or things like these games and stuff, which is pretty crazy considering how old MX Unleashed is. But you guys are probably going to be exactly like me when the memories would pour in, all the initial things you remember playing this game, like the tracks, the vehicles, and just the overall fun factor of MX Unleashed back then. The other fact of playing this game again might honestly hit you in the overall nostalgic factor pretty much full on. Do let me know what you all like about MX Unleashed in the comments below. Do you guys remember playing this? Have you ever played it? If you didn't, I would honestly recommend jumping on it. Yes, the game is obviously old, so the graphics are probably not going to live up if you're playing it on a PS2 compared to like a new PlayStation and the newer games we do have nowadays. But you know what? It still is so dang fun to play, and you can kind of see where things started with different aspects of MX Unleashed.